Every year in the NFL, it's a new team. As far as goals go, we have one. Putting a f***ing ring on our finger.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is March 3rd, 2021. Still feeling that Super Bowl. Good feeling. What do you call it? Super Bowl high. There you go. We get to carry this all the way through the year, most likely all the way through next year, too. We're just drunk on Super Bowl. Like it. I like it. So we're going to talk about that today. What's our team going to look like next year?
No.
No?
We're talking about what it looked like last year.
Oh, what it looked like last year.
Yeah, we're not done with last year yet.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about who we think is going to be getting the cut with free agency a little bit and everything. We got a little bit of news for you. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that. We're going to try not to make this podcast an hour and a half long, so I'm not going to sit here and run my mouth for too long. But we do have some fact checks and follow-ups.
We were not batting 1,000 last time, huh?
No. Yeah. Well, most of these are just follow-ups. There's only one fact check, really. All right, follow-up. John Molchan, he's from Boise State. He's one of our backup offensive linemen. His name is pronounced Molchan.
Okay.
You were asking about that.
All right.
All right.
Now we know. I'll forget it next time.
I know. Molchan. Follow-up. Jameis Winston rushed for 250 yards on 59 attempts in 2019 with the Bucs. We talked about how our the 2020 rushing total was 1,519 yards, team total. And in 2019, it was 1,521 yards. That was 2 yards difference from 2019 to 2020. Now, Brady had 30 yards rushing on 30 attempts.
So like 2 yards a game.
Well,
less than 2 yards.
I think a lot of that, they count kneel downs too.
Oh.
So he had a lot of kneel downs.
So he lost, but you lose yards on a kneel down.
Yes, but sometimes he'll step forward. You know, Jameis Winston used to do that too, where they'll step forward to try not to lose a yard. But the point being is that Jameis Winston counted for 16% of our rushing total in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were talking about how it just seemed weird that we didn't have more rushing yards this year. Our running backs did.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. That was a lot of running yards. 200 and some, you said?
Yeah. 200
Wow.
and
for a quarterback? That's crazy.
Yeah, for a quarterback that's not billed as a running quarterback. Of course, he probably had 4,000 or 5,000 if you just kind of sideline to sideline, him scrambling around in the backfield.
We're going backwards. Like, how many did he lose? I just want to hear, like, how many did he actually run physically?
Follow up. No, Mike Evans was not ejected for the hit on Lattimore in the game against New Orleans 3 years ago in 2017. He was suspended one game without pay, though. That was the
following game.
Yes. He was ejected in 2016, week 17, against the Panthers for, quote, disrespectfully addressing an official.
Oh, get out of here.
This was after he did not get a DPI call on Josh Norman in the end zone, but this only happened with less than 2 minutes left. We were out of the game, so no big deal.
I wish I could just eject people who are disrespectful to me.
I'd never be able to stay in the house.
I know.
All right, follow-up. TJ Logan, he was put on IR for a torn patellar tendon during practice in August.
Oh.
Linebacker Quentin Bell tackled him from behind during a non-tackling period, which led to the ire of both offensive and defensive players, as well as Coach Arians.
I remember that. And was that when Mike Evans chewed him out?
Yep.
And it was just a whole thing. Okay, I remember that now.
Mike Evans, JPP, I think Sue even got in on it. They're like, you can't do that, man. This is non-tackling. All right, follow-up. Pat McAfee is pronounced McAfee. McAfee.
McAfee.
McAfee.
McAfee.
McAfee.
McAfee or McAfee?
It's McAfee. Yeah, it's McAfee.
I'm just confused now. You said it both ways. Like I had it the first way you said it, and then you said something completely different the second time, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
McAfee.
McAfee.
Like the
McAfee.
like the antivirus.
Exactly like the antivirus. McAfee.
I'm not going to remember that next time because you said it 2 ways and
What did I say the first time? McAfee?
McAfee.
No. That's it. McAfee. McAfee.
Yeah.
McAfee. God,
What was
Jesus.
that?
No.
Oh,
I've
gosh.
got it even laid out
We
here.
watched Ted Lasso, and it's like when words become sounds and you get stuck in your head because it turns into a sound. That's what just happened here. So we just need to move on because I don't, it's not sticking. McAfee.
McAfee. Yes. Not McAfee. It's McAfee. All right, follow up. The nickname Playoff Lenny was coined after the wild card game against the Washington football team, where he started and had 19 carries for 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 catches for 39 yards. It was Dan Big Cat Katz and PFT commentator from the Pardon My Take podcast that came up with the nickname. Joe Buck used it in the broadcast during the NFC Championship against the Packers and gave Big Cat a shout-out. Fournette then used it after the Super Bowl in a sports reporter interview. So I thought it was something that had to do with, his previous play. I didn't know it was this playoff. Yeah, it was just weird. They just started calling him Playoff Lenny, and I was like, where'd that come from?
I had no idea. It came from a commentator.
Mm-hmm.
It's even better. Okay.
Fact check. Molly said that Auclair was out all year on injured reserve. He was not. Anthony Auclair was put on injured reserve in September after week 1 for a sustained calf injury. However, he came back November 2nd, week 8 against the Giants, and he was active the rest of the season.
Really?
Yeah. He had no catches all year, though.
Wow. They must have just used him on special teams.
Mm-hmm. Another fact check. I had said that Evans did not get a catch in the Super Bowl. I had misspoken. He did get a catch. I meant that he did not get a touchdown. I had said I wish that he had gotten a catch in the Super Bowl because what I meant was he would have gotten a touchdown. We were talking about how Gronkowski and Antonio Brown, all the new guys, got to touchdowns. And I wanted to see Mike Evans get one. But he was a great trooper for it. All right, fact check. What is Tom Brady's record for interceptions? Now, we keep going back and forth on this, but we're right. It's 14, and he did that 3 times, 2002, 2004, and 2005. Now, he threw 12 with the Bucs this year, but none of that includes the postseason. Fact check, or follow-up. Here's a follow-up. Who was it that Joe Namath hit on while he was drunk on live TV? It was Susie Colbert.
Oh, I was going to say, and that's what I was going to guess. Just because she's like the oldest one that I can remember that I know.
Call her old?
She's not forever. Old, but like of all the female reporters, I think she's the oldest one.
Yeah, well, that happened in 2003 in the Jets versus Patriots game. December 20th, 2003. All right, what team does Deion Sanders coach now?
Oh, yeah, we were debating whether it was college or high school.
College or whatever. It is college. He's coaching the Jackson State Tigers, college football in the NCAA Division I in Mississippi.
Who said it was college?
I think we didn't know. I think we both concluded it was high school. Did you really?
Yeah.
I thought it was high school.
I knew that.
Okay. All right, last one. Follow up. You had asked if Thaddeus Lewis was an ex-player. Now, Thaddeus Lewis used to be an intern for the Buccaneers, a coaching intern last year, and he's been promoted to assistant wide receivers coach. So I guess he's getting paid now. I don't know if he got paid as an intern. But, yes, he was a quarterback. He started 6 games in his career, 1 with the Browns in 2012, 5 with the Bills in 2013. He was signed with Houston in 2014, but he never played.
That was really recent. That was more recent than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All
but
right.
supposedly he knows Antonio Brown, like him and Antonio Brown are close.
That makes sense, yeah. He's wide receivers coach now, assistant wide receivers coach. Mm-hmm. So he took the position of, who was it you had said in the last podcast?
Antoine Randall L.
Antoine Randall L., yeah. Why are all these ex-quarterbacks being wide receivers coaches?
I know, isn't that weird?
Just so they can yell at them, probably.
But it does seem like quarterbacks, the position does kind of seem like they switch from both. Like, who was Terrell Pryor? He was a quarterback in college, came in the NFL, switched to wide receiver. It does seem like they frequently kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. It does seem like there's a turnstile type positions.
And
because they've worked together so much.
Yeah, and there are a lot of wide receivers who have experience playing college, so they're like the way like fifth string quarterback in case there's like a catastrophic event. There's a lot of wide receiver, it seems like a lot of teams have wide receivers where they can use like for plan X, Y, Z if they need to.
All right, you're going to get into our defense last year. What are we calling this? The look back?
Year in review. Going on the defense now. Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with our outside linebackers, who I feel like are kind of our studs.
Yeah.
This year on the roster, we had JPP, Anthony Nelson, Shaquille Barrett, and Cam Gill. I did not realize we had so little depth there at that position. But it was different from 2009. We had lost in 2019. We had lost, of course, Carl Nassib, which was a sad one. Went to Oakland or Las Vegas to the Raiders. Cousin Daniels, remember him?
Vaguely.
You liked him. And then Sam Acho, Sam Acho and his brother Emmanuel are two like big personalities in the NFL. It's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is going to host The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Or
really?
Not the main show, but like a side like reunion show. I don't know. It was a very, very weird, but it just made me think. A little sidebar there. Our free agents in this group are Shaq Barrett. That's like it. So if we can keep this group together, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, we've got JPP, Anthony Nelson, Cam Gill, Shaq Barrett.
Yeah.
Shaq Barrett's the only one.
Yes.
Which, man, I really hope we keep him. But, I don't want to break the bank with the guy. I don't want to keep him and lose 7 other guys.
I know. Like, what do you do?
Yeah. They'll figure something out, man. They'll figure something out.
I would say our main storyline with this group is that Shaq Barrett did not get the sacks that he got in his first year with the Buccaneers. The first year, he had 19 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
This year, he only had 8.
Yes, well, like I said, they, I constantly pointed out all year, they used him a lot differently. They were dropping him back into coverage around 20% of the time. It was very strange.
You got a bug in your shirt?
No, it's just all crooked. So I'm
gotcha.
trying to straighten it up. I know we got these
little
some people that are OCD and they freak out when things aren't balanced right. So, 19 and a half sacks in 2019, and then he had how many this year? 8 this year. It's a huge drop off. But like I said,
drop off.
They played him different, and of course, teams were queuing on him a bit too.
Yeah, I would say that they were more prepared for him this year. I think he definitely last year benefited from flying under the radar.
Mm-hmm. But hey, let's make no mistakes about it. I mean, the guy was crucial to our game. He played great. He didn't get the numbers, but he was there. He was pressuring all the time, and he's just a great football player.
I mean, he had other stats. He had 11 TFLs. The team had 91 total. So, and he led for the outside linebackers in that stat. JPP was the next with 7. So, and Shaq Barrett played 1 fewer game than everyone else. Remember, he was a close contact in week 17 for COVID, so he wasn't able to play.
So he didn't play week 17, neither did Devin White, right?
Right. And he also got 16 quarterback hits. So he didn't get the sacks, but he was there and he was impactful. And he only had 77% of the snaps. So he wasn't playing. Yeah. JPP had 88%. But again, he had another game than Shaq did. So it's kind of a back and forth between the two of them, like who was more productive. You know, like JPP has the sacks, but Shaq Barrett has the TFLs and the quarterback hits. JPP has the interceptions. He had 2 interceptions this year. He was the only outside linebacker to get an interception. And then JPP had 6 passes defended. Like, how does that happen? No one, Shaq had 3. Anthony Nelson had 1. And then JPP had 4 forced fumbles. The team had 15. So he had 4 of them. And
then won a game.
Yeah. And Shaq had 2. So they kind of go back and forth. And then Shaq had our only safety. The team had 1 safety. It was Shaq Barrett.
Safeties are hard to get, man.
I know. I know.
They're rare.
Yeah.
I think in fantasy football, they should be counted like 10 points.
Right? I know.
That's why I felt like sacks, you get a sack in fantasy football, your defense, and you get like a point. Like, it should be like 5 points because they're so rare.
Sacks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relatively.
2 or 3 a game. 2. If you're the Buccaneers.
Yeah, right.
We had a total sacks for the year. We had 48. I know.
So we had 48 sacks and we gave up 27?
22, I think.
22? Gosh.
Yeah, 22.
Whoa, that's a huge disparity.
Mm-hmm. And I think last year was the reverse. It was not. I think we gave up like 40 some sacks last year.
Sacks.
We talked about this last time.
Jameis.
I know. The total we allowed, and this is for the team in general, we allowed 42 touchdowns this year. We had 10 rush touchdowns, 24 receiving touchdowns we allowed. And then we also had 2 pick sixes and a punt return for a touchdown. So, anything else you want to say about the outside linebackers?
JPP and Shaquille Barrett are just awesome. They are a great duo. JPP brings so much to this team. I mean, he's just a beast. He's unrelenting. He doesn't. He's like the Terminator. Blow off his arm literally, and he's still going to play. You break his neck, he's still going to play. Well,
and he said, he had knee surgery. And he said he played at 70% this season, which is just incredible. And the dude never complains. I mean, he was on the injury report every week for that knee. And you never heard a word about it. And it never seemed to slow him down. So.
Now that Cam Gill, I brought this up after watching the All-22. He had a couple snaps in that game, and throughout the season he would get a snap here and there. But he's going to be something special. He's a little undersized, kind of like Shaq Barrett. A little undersized, but damn, he's fast, man. He is extremely fast for an outside linebacker. So,
yeah, he only played in 12 games or dressed for 12 games. He didn't start any of them, and he only got 22 snaps the whole season.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I kind of keep track of percentage. Like how often do players make good plays compared to how often they get to play. And when you got a guy that's out there, like say Levante David, he's out there for 100% of the snaps, and he makes, we'll say, 5 good plays a game. So that's 5%, right? He makes a play on 5% of his snaps. Then you get somebody like Cam Gill, and I'm just making these numbers up. This has nothing to do. This is giving an example. You get Cam Gill, he gets 20 snaps all year long, and he makes 5 plays. Out of that 20, that's what, 25%? He's making plays on 25% of his time. So it's a way I like to look at football. What guys are making plays with their opportunities. And Cam Gill is one of those guys. It seems like he's making plays every chance he gets out there. Another one is, who was it? Was it Quentin Bell? No, Khalil Davis. Yeah, Khalil Davis. So we'll be talking about that here in a second.
Yeah.
But Cam Gill seems like he's got a bright future ahead of him for us.
And in your opinion, if we really need to sign Shaq Barrett back, but if we don't, Cam Gill could be serviceable to fill that hole.
Yeah, I think he could be serviceable. He's not going to be Shaq Barrett, especially right away, but we got to remember Shaq Barrett had years before he came here, sitting behind some great defensive ends.
And that's what I was about to say, that Cam Gill, maybe if he sits behind these guys, Jpp and Shaq Barrett, for another couple of years, imagine what he could be.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the defensive line. We've got at defensive end, we had Ndamukong Suh, Khalil Davis, Jeremiah Ledbetter, and Benning Ptoia. On the other side, we had William Golston, Pat O'Connor, Kobe Smith, and Quentin Bell. Kobe Smith, we re-signed to a futures contract. I think he was on our practice squad, but our lads had him on the depth chart. And then at nose tackle, we had Vita Vea. Behind him was Rakeem Nunez-Roches, Steve McClendon, and Sam Renner. From 2019, the roster differed. We had lost Bo Allen at nose tackle. Where did he go? Back to the Patriots? I think he went to the Patriots. And then this year, we added Khalil Davis, Jeremiah Ledbetter, Benning Ptoia, Kobe Smith, Quentin Bell, Steve McClendon, Sam Renner. So all of our depth guys basically were new this year. Yeah, that's pretty
Jeremy
good.
Ledbetter, wasn't he here?
Jeremiah.
2019?
Jeremiah Ledbetter. Did I say Jeremy? I might have said
I'm
Jeremy.
throwing in all kinds of Pearl Jam stuff. Jeremy and Ledbetter.
We had this happen before. It's like deja vu all over again. No, I didn't. It might have been.
Yeah, I think he played with San Francisco in 2019.
Did he? Oh, that'll be a fact check follow-up. Our free agents this year are Sue, Steve McClendon, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, and Pat O'Connor. I would say the biggest storyline with this unit this year was that loss of Vita Vea against Chicago, where he had the leg fracture. Yeah. And I think that loss was actually the biggest story of the defense that whole year. Because remember, in the offseason last year, we were talking about how dominant our defense was going to be this year, and they were until we lost Vita. And it seemed like there was a stretch towards the middle of the year where everyone was tired. They weren't necessarily performing up to par, and they really didn't hit again until the playoffs, I feel like. Yeah. And I think it had a lot to do with Vita.
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge, unique player. There's really nobody like him in the league. And he's just such a dominant player. I mean, between him and Sue, there's just nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do on that front. I mean, you have to go to the outside edges. And you have to worry about your quarterback, because they're going to get to your quarterback. And they're going to do it pretty fast. Like Vita Vea, he's so big, and he moves. He doesn't really move fast, it doesn't look. But he can push, and I love pointing this out in the videos when I do them. He pushes guys back into the lap of the quarterback in 2.5 seconds, generally is his thing. And that's just incredible. I mean, just push a guy straight back, 2.5 seconds. Generally, if you give a quarterback 3 seconds, to me, that's the cutoff. Anything after 3 seconds, your defensive line ain't doing good enough. Anything before 3 seconds, you got a good defensive line. And Vita's pushing, these offensive linemen straight back into, he's just big, he's fast, he's strong. And nobody can stop him. You just can't stop him. To lose him was a huge blow. But I think Nacho and McClendon did great filling in. They didn't screw up.
Yeah, I think that was the best that you could ask for. So I want to show with Vita. So he only played 5 games. He had 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, 3 quarterback hits, and 10 tackles. So Nacho had 0 sacks all year, 0 TFLs. And this was in 11 games he started. He played 16, but he started 11 in Vita's place. He had 3 quarterback hits. Vita got 3 in 5 games. Mm-hmm. So it's a stark contrast between the two. And Steve McClendon, his stats weren't much better. He had 0 sacks. He had 2 TFLs, and this was 9 games he dressed for. And we traded for him. Did we trade for him? He was with the Jets. I think it was a trade, right?
I don't remember.
I think it was. Oh, another fact check. And then, he had no quarterback hits. He did have 17 tackles. So there was that. But Vita is just so unique, and it's almost not even fair to compare these other guys to him. Yeah. Because I do think that Nacho and Steve McClendon both were serviceable at the position. I think our run defense definitely took a hit when he went out, but it wasn't terrible. Teams were not averaging more than 100 yards against us. We were still the top, in the top 3 for run defense, or were we number one?
Number one all year. Yeah.
Number 1 for run defense. So
by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we were fighting with New
Orleans
was right behind us.
Right? Yeah. We might have flipped spots.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Once during the season, but yeah.
We have to fact check that one.
We ended up being like 20 yards per game in front of everybody as far as run defense goes.
Yeah.
Nacho and McClendon are both above average. They're not scrubs. They're both above average. They were just trying to replace elite. And they did great. Didn't make mistakes, which to me that's you've got guys that make splash plays, but they make mistakes, and then you got guys that don't make mistakes, but they don't make splash plays. And then you got guys that don't make mistakes and they make splash plays. These guys were guys that didn't make mistakes, so they're above average. They did a great job filling in for Vita. Of course, they can't be Vita. Nobody can be Vita. But I talked about this at the beginning of the season before Vita got hurt, that he's the one I expected to see the most out of this year. And he didn't live up to my expectations, and he didn't in 2019 as well. I really just expect him to be so dominant that when he's only 3/4 dominant, I'm kind of let down.
I wonder if it's like what the veterans do on the deal, like Sue and JPP, particularly towards the end of the season, where they were just kind of chilling the first half of games. They were doing what they were supposed to do, but they weren't exceeding, their job responsibilities. And then in the second half of games, they would kind of come on and just explode. So I wonder if that's with Vita too, if he's like holding back a little bit.
Yeah. Well, even in the Super Bowl, but he only, let me see, he played. When did he come back?
He came back in the playoffs.
The first game against Washington?
I can't remember. I want to say it was the second game. How long has it been? It's been like a month. We're out of practice too, I feel like, on the podcast. I'm not in the rhythm yet. I'll get there.
But Vita made some great plays, but he just wasn't as dominant as I wanted him to be. I just have so high expectations for him. I don't think he'll ever be able to reach it.
Well, I don't think that he was in game shape yet either.
Well, he just came off a broken ankle.
Yeah. I found this interesting. Pat O'Connor had the highest missed tackle percentage on the team. Now, granted, he only had 62 total snaps, but
if that included special teams,
no,
I would agree.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't?
No.
Damn.
He had 3 total missed tackles, which amounts to 42.9% of his attempts. I was like, whoa.
Oof,
the next highest on the team was 16.7%. And that was a tie between Sean Murphy-Bunting, Kevin Minter, and Vita.
Dang.
Now, had he more snaps, that might have been a little different.
Yeah. And plus, again, that's a totally subjective metric there. I mean, what do you count as a missed tackle? I mean, if you dive for somebody's legs and you're 10 feet away from them and you get their ankle.
It was, they called it an attempted tackle plus the actual tackles. And so that number was the denominator.
Okay.
Numerator.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's been a while since
attempted tackle.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we will see. But Pat is a free agent this year. Nacho, Steve McClendon, and Sue. So a large part of that, it looks like the only starters Will Golston and Vita Vea, they're not free agents this year, but everybody else and some of the depth guys. But
I'm a big fan of Sue. I mean, he's highly underrated, I think. Because he doesn't get a lot of stats and all that good stuff. But I mean,
and people don't want to like him.
Right. Yes. As a matter of fact, there was a Pro Football Focus guy that put out a message saying that Sue got a Super Bowl ring and McCoy didn't, and he was like, that just makes me feel icky.
Which I'm like, you're a grown fucking man.
Who uses
using
icky?
The word icky?
That's what everybody said. But
yeah.
He, it's like, yeah, Sue deserved it. I'm sorry. It's just Sue's the better player, if you ask me. But, I don't see anybody, people have lists out about who we should retain in free agency, and everybody's just kind of not even considering Sue, really. But I think he's vital, mainly because of his mentorship. The guy is a great mentor, apparently. I mean, if you look on the sidelines, all the defensive line sits around Sue. And when we watch these videos, in the current and stuff, they're always hanging around him and asking for advice. And like Will Golston, we always like to joke on him for that. He follows him around like a puppy dog. And, that's just vital. I mean, that's good stuff. And Sue is extremely intelligent. He's got a degree in architecture. He's got an architecture firm, a consulting firm, but he's also got like 5 different businesses, and they're spread out, very diversified. He's got restaurant businesses. He's got consulting businesses. He's got his architecture firm. He's got investment businesses. He's just got, he's just really smart, and he's not he's spending his money wisely. And I think guys really respect that. And that, it helps these young guys out to not, be foolish with their money or their time in the NFL. And plus, to keep their bodies right. Sue has never missed a game due to injury. That's just incredible. Incredible. And, like he said after the Packers game, that Aaron Rodgers wanted to talk to him, and he was like, look, Aaron Rodgers knows my routine. Everybody knows my routine. After the game, I go and I get on the bike, and I ride the bike, and then after I get on the bike, I go and I do my therapy. I think it's a
ice bath or something.
Yeah, ice bath or something like that. So the guy, he keeps care of his body. He's like Brady. They're just very hyper-focused on keeping care of their body, and that's what you want these, our team to learn, especially these young guys in the secondary and the defensive line. Take care of yourself. And take care of your money. Be grown-ups about this stuff. And I think Sue is great for that. I don't want to see him let go. Nacho and McClendon, don't know if they're going to be able to stay. I really don't. I'd like to see everybody stay. But being honest, I don't know. They're from a Super Bowl team. They got snaps. They played all year. Somebody's probably going to want to pay them more money than we're going to be willing to pay them.
Yeah, they can go maybe get a starting job where they're definitely not going to get one here.
Right.
So, all right, let's move on to our linebackers. Pretty much everyone but Devin White is a free agent.
Yeah.
Which is frightening. We've got Devin White, and behind him, Kevin Minter. And then Levante, Jack Sitchie, and Dayon Buchanan. So the only one not a free agent is Devin.
Sitchie's a free agent?
Yeah.
Dang.
I know.
Crap.
Yeah.
Didn't have him listed. This is going to be a tough one. Levante David, man.
Okay, I want to talk about Levante because when I put all their snaps or their stats together, Devin White completely blew by Levante, like in every metric. For instance, sacks. Levante had 1.5 all year. Devin White had 9. TFLs, Levante had 12. Devin White had 15. Mind you, Levante played all 16 games. Devin White did not. So Levante had 99.34% of the snaps, whereas Devin White had 93.23%. So it's like a 6 percentage point difference. Quarterback hits, Levante had 3. Devin White had 16. Tackles, Levante had 117. Devin White had 140. So that is not to disparage Levante in any way, because any Buccaneer fan will tell you Levante is a vital part of our team. Everyone loves Levante. We've watched Levante since he got drafted. We love Levante.
Huge Levante David fan.
But
I think that's the only jersey I've got from the ugly jersey era of the Buccaneers is a Levante David.
No, this was before the alarm clock numbers. I think your jersey is pre that.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. And I've got a Mike Evans alarm clock number one, but it's a reverse color,
the inverted one. Yeah. Cool. So, Levante, and Joe Bucks fan is reporting that the Browns really want Levante. His market value, Spot Rack has his market value of $12.7 million.
Goodness.
But I'm just like, we are in dire straits, and I love Levante. I absolutely want Levante to come back. I think that him and Devin White have a good relationship. I'm not certain that Devin White is ready necessarily to lead a defense completely. But I'm like, I don't, is Levante going to take less money to stay? I would think yes, but I don't know. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Levante's coming back? Is he going to be a cap casualty?
I tell you, this is a tough one. It hurts my soul. This one does. It really does. I have wrestled with this. I do not want to see Levante gone. Do not want to. I mean, he's been a part of this team for a decade, and it's been really the only shining light on this defense for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he's, didn't get the credit he deserved from the rest of the league. You had Kuechly, who was just sucking up all the attention of the NFC with linebackers. He would get all the stats, and actually Levante would have better stats, but Kuechly would get all the attention. And Levante just quietly just sat there and took it, and just kept soldiering every day, every year. But man, honestly, on my list of free agents we need to sign, he's not up there. He's he might be in the top 5, but
yeah.
I
would say he's at bottom of the top tier.
Yeah.
So he's definitely top tier, but not a prior, and he could be one of the first casualties.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want it to happen. I do not want it to happen. I want them to keep everybody on this team, mm-hmm. and they're we got the best salary cap guy in the league, I think. So he's going to do some wheeling and dealing and some magic and keep as many people as possible. But mm-hmm. Levante had that, starting in week 12 against Kansas City Chiefs. He had that horrible, horrible game where, I was concerned about his mental well-being. I was like, there was something was bothering him. And then it continued on after the bye week. There was a couple, a string of 3 or 4 games where he was just not, it was almost like he didn't want to be there. I don't know what was going on with him, personal issues in his life or whatever, but his on-field performance was just not good. And if I saw it, the coaches saw it. And, if he's going to come up and ask for $13 million a year, they're not going to do that.
Mm-mm. And when they've drafted someone at his position, that's their guy who is a leader on the defense. I'm not going to say he's the leader, but that they're essentially grooming him for that mm-hmm. role.
Yeah. He's basically taken over Levante's spot.
Mm-hmm.
it's a good 1-2 punch we have with those guys. But
yeah.
honestly, Kevin Minter came in and filled in very well, when Devin White was out. And, I hate it. I really hate it, but I would not be surprised if Levante David is not a Buccaneer next year. It wouldn't surprise me. It depressed me, but it's not going to surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just the nature of the business being what it is.
Yeah.
We all know how this works. We've all seen guys. It almost feels like every year there's one of those guys. Now, I will say, for me, there's never been a guy like Levante that I've had to see walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That because it will just break my heart to watch Levante walk or go to another
see him
team.
playing in the Browns uniform.
I know. I'm with you.
But I guess if he's going to go somewhere, the Browns are a good spot because they're like our siblings in the AFC.
So we'll see. The free agency starts on the 17th, so we got 2 weeks from today. The legal tampering period starts on the 15th, so we'll kind of get a gander for how it's going to work out. And I think that the clubs can start negotiating with their that's the legal tampering period. So
I would just so much like to see Levante David retire as a Buccaneer, get put up in the Ring of Honor, and if anybody deserves it, it's him. He's been a stalwart on some crappy teams for the Buccaneers, and he's never complained, never.
Yeah.
Even when he wasn't making Pro Bowls, he's just like, well, I just go out and do my job, and he's done his job for so well for so long. Gosh, I will. I'll be depressed. I'll be depressed for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
I could see it happening. I just, even on my own list, as much as I love Levante, there's guys that we need to keep. Oh, I hate saying that. It's just sick to my stomach.
Okay, we're going to go over this more in our free agency preview. So we'll talk it. That's going to be our next show. But I do want to mention coverage among the linebackers. It feels like it improved a lot this year. But remember last year where they were just not. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I think I tallied it up at one point. And it was like 30% of all passes were due to linebackers not covering, or all completions were due to linebackers not covering correctly.
Yeah. And so this year, I'm just curious what you think. Was it the system changed, or did they improve in their coverage, or was it that, the outside linebackers were dropping back in coverage as opposed to the linebacker? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we did play a somewhat different system this year, a little bit more complex, and we had the linebackers both inside and outside doing more different things. But yeah, I think it was just they understood their role better in coverage. Like the first time, like week 12, when Levante covered Kelsey in the Kansas City game, he just got torched. And then in the Super Bowl, he was just dominating Kelsey. I mean, he had 3 batted balls that I counted, where Kelsey would go to catch it and Levante just pop up, nope, bam. Nope, bam. I was like, damn, David is killing it, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that their coverage skills, they just worked on them.
Interesting.
And with a combination of that and Bowles, using them differently.
Interesting. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to the cornerbacks. We have Carlton Davis, Ross Cockerell, and John Franklin III. And we also have Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, and Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith. Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no.
In 2019, we had MJ Stewart, so lost him this year, and Mazzy Wilkins, which I think he was on the practice squad some this year and got cut. And then Sean Murphy-Bunting was listed as the starting right cornerback last year. So this year he was behind Jamel Dean. Our free agents are Ryan Smith and Ross Cockerell. So let's talk briefly about this. Ryan Smith had no snaps at corner, but he is our special teams stud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been doing special teams for 5 years or something.
What do you do? Are we re-signing him?
That's the thing with these guys. They won a Super Bowl. They're all going to be able to get signed somewhere. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Cockerell and Ryan Smith both get contracts to be a starter somewhere.
Yeah. Cockerell, I think, is less likely, but Ryan Smith, I think.
I don't know. That Ross Cockerell, he played well.
Yeah, he did play well. But I think he's just a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's, so I don't know.
I mean, you've got a lot of teams out there that are just desperate. I mean, look at the Jets. Look at the Jaguars. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are just desperate, and they'll see Ross Cockerell. They'll see, their first place to go to will be the Super Bowl teams, the playoff teams, and they'll scour all the free agents and they'll look at it and they'll say Ross Cockerell. Okay, who is this guy? They'll look at the game film and be like, oh, he's pretty good. Reason why he didn't make it as a starter is because they had Carlton Davis and Jamal Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting. So he's up in that level. So they'll probably sign him for some good money. That's the sucky thing about us having all these free agents is, the rest of the team is wanting to pick this team apart.
Mm.
They're wanting to vulture. So, all these guys are going to get offered good money. That's what I was said after the Super Bowl. I was like, Sue is really going to be, to me, the canary in the coal mine. If Sue decides to go somewhere else for more money, then we'll probably see a lot of our free agents do that. But if Sue decides to stay here, for the same amount or less money, then that'll be a good indicator that we're going to keep a lot of our guys because they want to stay on this team. Because, Sue's a mercenary. He's a headhunter.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't, he's going to go to whoever, or that's what he's done his whole career. Whoever gives him the most money, he don't care.
Yeah. But we didn't last year. I mean, it seemed like he took less to stay. Right? Will this be his third year with us?
Wow, yeah. Sure will be.
That's crazy. What? So he's in 2 years here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Ryan
cool.
Smith, though, I don't know about him. This was probably his worst year. It wasn't horrible by any means, but normally on special teams he's just great. And this year, he was kind of he was still our best special teams player.
Yeah.
But, he wasn't as outstanding as he has been the past few years.
I want to talk about, this was the craziest stat that stood out to me in this unit was Carlton Davis. He missed 3 games. Do you remember why? I cannot remember.
Hamstring, I don't know. Injury?
Yeah, some kind of injury. He only had 14 starts. And he had 18 of the 70 passes defended for the whole defense. So that was 25.7% of the team's total passes defended he got. Now, for comparison, so he had 18. Jamel Dean had 7. And Sean Murphy-Bunting had 3.
Damn, what?
Yeah.
That don't seem right.
I know. Isn't that crazy? So it was a huge, and then Carlton also had 4 interceptions to Sean Murphy-Bunting's 1 and Jamel Dean's 1. Now, again, this is the regular season, not including the postseason. So, and Carlton did have 85% of the snaps. Sean Murphy-Bunting had 82, almost 83, and then Jamel Dean had 66, so a third of the snaps. So Carlton just was by far our most productive corner.
Yeah, and I hated it in that Week 12 game when he was getting burned by little number 10.
Yeah.
And everybody was like coming down on Carlton Davis.
I know.
Man,
Yeah, I mean, really,
sucked.
stats-wise, like, it wasn't even close between everybody in that unit. But I will say, and I've made this point before, what would we have thought about Sean Murphy-Bunting had we not gone to the playoffs and he took off? So I want to go over those stats because it's just ridiculous. He had 3 interceptions in the playoffs. He only had 1 during the regular season. in 17 games.
That's crazy.
He had 5 passes defended. He had 3 during the regular season. 19 tackles, 15 solo, and 4 assists. And then he had 1 TFL in the playoffs, which he had 3 all season.
Dang. Yeah, he stepped it up, man.
Yeah. So it was just, it's just so crazy to me to think about.
Yeah, we would have been like, yeah, we can get rid of him.
Yeah,
no big deal.
we need to upgrade there.
Now we're like, we don't know. Let's make sure we keep this guy.
Don't let him go. And I do, again, just want to say that Jason Light has built this unit from the ground up. So kudos to him. And I just think about those drafts where everyone was freaking out when he took 3 defensive backs like right in a row. I think this was 2 drafts ago, and everyone was losing their damn minds.
Yeah, Levante David is the only non-liked player on this team.
Really?
Jason Light, yeah.
What?
How crazy is that?
Wow. I'm trying to think of another.
You're completely right. This is Jason Light's team from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. Okay, let's go to safeties, and then we'll run through special teams. I know we're getting close on time here. We had at strong safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., behind him, Mike Edwards and Javon Hagan. And then at free safety, we had Jordan Whitehead and Andrew Adams. In 2019, Mike Edwards was a starter, and we also had Darian Stewart. Remember him? He was kind of a depth guy. He was an older, I think he had come from the Chargers. So we lost him in 2020. I don't really have much to say about this group besides Antoine Winfield Jr. was just a freaking gold mine.
I know.
Wow. I can't wait to see what, we don't care about the draft normally, but I am excited to see this draft class because I just think Jason Light is just such an amazing, I don't know, our whole scouting department is just incredible. Yeah. And I don't know anything about college, so I'm glad that we have a competent group that, they find these. Yeah.
Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be a very, very good Buccaneer player for a long time. And the guy's playing. He's a rookie, and he's out there doing stuff you don't even see veterans doing. You're like, wow, man, this guy really understands the game.
Yeah.
And, I said this a few years ago. I said, Vita Vea, getting Vita Vea, drafting him, made up for anything Jason Light ever did. He could tank for the rest of his career. To me, just getting Vita Vea, the guy is that special. And but to get Antoine Winfield, I mean, was anybody even looking at this guy?
I don't know.
Get him, and he's a top level safety in his rookie year.
I know, he was just incredible. He played 97% of the snaps. He had 1,034 snaps.
And he's always got that smile on his face, man.
I know.
What'd you call him, Mighty Mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's stocky. He's just always grinning.
Yeah. He had 94 tackles, which was 20 more than Jordan Whitehead. Jordan Whitehead had 74. And they both started the same number of games, but Jordan only got 86% of the snaps. And then he had 6 passes defended, whereas Jordan had 4. He had 4 quarterback hits. Jordan had 3. So they were pretty close stat-wise. Although Antoine had 1 TFL, Jordan Whitehead had 9. It must have been the way that they were using him. Would be my guess. But
So out of those guys, only Andrew Adams is free agent, right?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think I forgot to look up the free agents in that unit. I forgot about that part.
It's all right. I got you covered.
Cool.
It's Andrew Adams.
Thanks.
AAA.
I liked him, so I would like to see him back, but maybe we'll draft somebody there, which I'm completely fine with also. And I will say Mike Edwards, although he only got 188 snaps, I was very impressed with him, and I know he was kind of downgraded from 2019 when he was a starter, but every time he was in, I mean, he made a lot of plays.
Yeah.
He had 5 passes defended. Antoine had 6. Jordan Whitehead had 4. He had 5 in a fraction of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And, he made good play. He had 2 interceptions. That's how many Jordan Whitehead had also.
Right.
So I like our depth there. I'm very pleased with that whole unit.
Concur.
Okay, let's move on to special teams, which is very sad because Ryan Suckup is a free agent.
I know.
Our kicker.
Yeah.
I want to look at the stats. Of course, the Bucs have had this kicking curse for years, and it appears that
Since
we've
Matt Ryan.
broken it.
Or
Matt Bryant.
Matt Bryant.
Yeah.
Who's playing with Matt Ryan, or did play with Matt Ryan.
So Ryan Suckup was just a ray of sunshine in this cloudy part of Buccaneers history. He had 52 extra points out of 57 he made, so that was 91% of his extra points. 28 of 31 field goals, so that was 90%. He averaged 8.5 points a game and scored a total of 136 points for the Buccaneers. As a comparison, Matt Gay last year made...
Don't do it.
Well, I just want to see where we improved. So Matt Gay made 43 of 48 extra points, so that was 89.5%, so that was close. But where Ryan Suckup just blew by Matt Gay was in the field goal percentage. Matt Gay made 27 of 35, so that was only 77%. So we went from 77% success rate with field goals to 90%.
Yeah.
So that's really the difference.
Huge difference. And, Ryan Suckup, he's going to ask for more money, of course.
He should.
Yeah. And
Pay him. Pay the man.
He didn't miss really a single field goal or extra point when it mattered. Mm-hmm. And he didn't miss any in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So you're like, I think we can kick him a couple extra $1 million. Mm-hmm. It's, if it's between him and re-signing Antonio Brown, I'm going with Suckup.
Absolutely. No question. His success rate of 90.3% ranked second in franchise history to Connor Barth's 92.9% in 2011. This season, Ryan was named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week twice, which made him the first Buccaneer ever to do that. And then his 94.7% field goal percentage mark inside of 40 yards is the 6th best among kickers with at least 250 attempts since 1991 when they started tracking that. So I'd say we got to bring this man back. Punting. Bradley Pinion is our punter. He was here in 2019, and he actually, in some metrics, went down performance-wise this year. So his kickoff, touchbacks on the kickoff, so his percentage in 2019 was 90.7% of his kickoffs were touchbacks. Mm-hmm. This year, only 85%. So is that because they're running them out? I don't know. Could be.
Yeah, all it takes is one or two teams to run it out 5 yards deep in the end zone, whereas most teams will just let it bounce and then it changes. Yeah, that's what Bradley Pinion brings to the table is he kicks that ball in the end zone.
I know.
He rarely.
I know 90%. That's insane.
Yeah.
And 85%. That's not even that bad. His kickoff yards did increase this year. He had 6,303 in 2019, and this year it's 6,477. So that increased by 170. And then his punt yards increased. Last year was 2,464. This year, 2,486. So 22 yards more this year.
I'll be done. Jaden Mickens is up for...
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to that. But first, I want to talk about our holder, Ryan Griffin. He's a free agent this year.
Oh no, we got to keep Ryan Griffin.
No. I know. Remember all the kicks? We were like, "Oh, is that who did we have as holder before? Didn't we have somebody different?" Oh yeah. Bradley Pinion was the holder last year.
Oh, so Bradley Pinion's been the holder for all these years that we've sucked at kicking.
And I know. And now it's been Ryan Griffin this year, but he's a free agent. So do you bring him back just to be the holder? I was wondering, like, we remember one day Sean Murphy Bunting did it, and he said he closed his eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe he could do it. Maybe that's who we could get to do it. All right, now we can talk about Jaden Mickens. Jaden was our punt and kick returner this year. We had TJ Logan listed at that position before he got hurt in practice. So
and then Antonio Brown returned a few after we signed him, but then they decided not to do that, which really surprised me. I thought they were going to have him as the kick returner.
I think they didn't want to risk it.
I don't know, man. When you got such a stacked wide receiver room.
That's true. But it is Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of need that threat, I think. So I don't, again, I think our return game is a big question mark. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah, not real happy with that. And Jaden Mickens, I like him. Here's why I like him. I'll tell you. Is because when we do the kneel downs, he's sometimes the running back. I don't know why they do that. They'll have him as the running back when we do the kneel downs at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. And he'll always do a little pose when they snap the ball. It's funny. So, he endears me there because it's just different. It's a
got a little
thing.
Style.
Yeah, I got some style to him. And but as far as the punt returner, I'm just not a big fan of him. He's got the happy feet back there. He doesn't make the best decisions, if you ask me. But
well, I don't think he's helped out by the rest of the guys there either. Yeah. Maybe now that we've gotten our kick game kind of figured out, they can maybe focus on the return game. Yeah. That would be my thought. Hopefully. That's our 1 weak spot.
Right. But like I said, all these free agents, they're going to be getting offers from other teams,
Yeah.
So and how much they want to stay and win another Super Bowl is going to be the big question.
Okay, that's all I got, Ralph.
All right. Well, it's over an hour. I had some news. You had news too, didn't you?
No.
No? Okay. Let me see if there's anything we really need to cover. If not, I'll go ahead and just wrap this up.
Well, we're also going to do one later in the week on free agency, probably this weekend. Oh, I did have some small things. Ali Marpet was selected as the Buccaneers Ed Block Courage Award recipient.
Okay.
The
Minnesota Timberwolves on March 1st officially replaced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the team with the worst all-time winning percentage in American sports.
Losing? All-time
losers.
Losing? You said all-time winning percentage.
Oh, all-time. Worst all-time winning.
Oh, worst. Yeah. Okay, I missed that word. Okay. Sources are saying Disney and the NFL reached a broad agreement on a new media rights deal that will see ESPN renew Monday Night Football, and ABC will return to the Super Bowl rotation for the first time since 2006.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting little thing. It's from Quirky Research. In 1983, the winningest quarterback in Super Bowl history checked into Louisiana Hospital using an assumed name. That quarterback was Terry Bradshaw, and he went into the hospital in 1983 under the name of Thomas Brady.
That is so crazy.
How crazy is that? Now, I'm not 100% this is true, but everybody was tweeting it out. The Rappaport and all those guys are like, what?
Nuts.
So, just found that very interesting. I wonder if that's his dad. Imagine if, it could work out. I'm sure there's some math there that you could look into.
If Terry Bradshaw was his dad?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Former Buccaneer Adam Humphries was released by the Titans. So that was interesting. That was a sad one. I was sad to see him go. That was probably, we were talking about Levante earlier. Adam Humphries is probably the number one. 1A and 1B would be Adam Humphries and Carl Nassib for me. Yeah. The ones that kind of were upsetting, but none would compare to Levante.
Yeah. So. That's going to be a tough one. If it happens. Hopefully it won't. Vincent Jackson, we had talked about his service in the last podcast, and we had heard nothing about it. As soon as we got finished with the podcast, we found out that his service was held that day. It was a private service, not open to the public. It wasn't announced until after the service was done. His body was cremated. So there's that. Tough stuff, man. I hate that. Hope we... I don't know. I don't know if I want to know what happened or if I just want to just go, because I don't want to taint his memory. I really don't. Such a good guy. Ex-Buck Kellen Winslow is facing 14 years for assault. This is more stuff tacking onto his.
This a new one?
No, he did a plea bargain and he got some of the charges reduced. So now instead of him facing multiple life sentences, it's he's looking at about 14 years. It's been delayed because of COVID. Gotcha. So his trial is coming up. I want to say May. So anyhow,
okay.
That's it. That is all I'm going to talk about for news. I've got a bunch of other stuff, but we definitely do not have time for some of this stuff I want to talk about. We'll have to save it for another podcast. Basically, it's me bitching about the media. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. We'll save that for the next one.
Yeah. We'll do our own show again. We do that about once every off season.
Yeah.
About the media. All right, guys, man, this has been a great thing. And, Molly pointed this out to me that we're right up now. All of a sudden we're in free agency. It's coming. Normally we have quite a bit of time between the end of the season and free agency and stuff, but now it's right here. And we're like, how did this happen? Oh, here's how it happened. We had 4 extra games tacked onto the end of the season. Normally, by November, we're circling dates for free agency and not really that concerned with the season so much as we are what players and coaches we're going to keep. But this one, it was all up until February. We were playing in February.
And winning.
Yeah, that's what I love about the playoffs. You get them extra games. So, here it is. They had the Super Bowl. We took a little bit of rest with the podcast, and then it's like all of a sudden we're like, whoa, everything's getting ready to happen again. So no rest for the wicked. Is that how it goes?
Speak for yourself. So we are going to have a Buccaneers free agency podcast probably towards the end of the week this weekend. And then next week, we should have 3 shows. We are going to do the Know Your Enemy free agency edition for all of our division opponents. So that'll be fun. Yeah,
we got to cram all that stuff in because free agency is coming right around the corner.
Coming up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy this Super Bowl win, man. Let's just ride it out all year long. Last year sucked for any number of reasons, but the football season was great. Let's keep that positivity going, and we'll do it again next year. We are the team to beat by a lot, by a long shot. I mean, I can't say even if all these free agents leave. Yeah, if a lot of them leave, we're still going to be the team to beat in the league. So, everybody's going to be trying to emulate us. Everybody's going to be talking about us. We're going to get 5 primetime games again. And this year we're not going to be using them as preseason games like we did last year. So, hey, be happy. Just wear your Bucs gear proud and keep a smile on your face, man. Stay positive. Love it. All right. Till next time.
Go Bucs.